I am so excited. Welcome to our podcast, Oh, the People You'll Meet. I started this podcast because I meet some incredible people. I don't know where, but wherever I am, I meet amazing people, whether it's airplanes, Chick-fil-A, the grocery store, football, kids events, coffee shops, wherever I go, I meet incredible people. And the cool thing about it is when I meet them, I hear their stories, and their stories are so inspiring to me. And as I've shared before, like, their stories kind of go, oh my gosh, God is real. He's here. And because I hear how God works in other people's lives, and it just encourages me so much, because I see that, like, God is, like, moving. He's working. He's there for us in our hard times and in our happy times. And so it's just so encouraging. So what I want to do is I wanted to start this podcast, and I hope that our listeners feel like they're around this table with us, and just hearing us have a conversation about it. And so today I'm so excited to welcome Cara Strickland. Cara and I met through football.
Yes.
So her oldest and my baby we're O linemen together.
Yes.
And so baby is light terms because my baby was 250 pounds. and Cole is like how big?
Oh, he's what, 6'2" and not quite 200 pounds.
Yeah, so now he's probably lost the
He's trying to go down now.
Yeah, so yeah, but back then they were big boys. We understand each other in feeding football players and the hard part. And then Ty also played with Jake, and then Kate also played. So 3 boys.
Yes.
Through a super girly mom has 3 boys. I think God just did that on purpose for us, just because we get to be the princesses.
Yes, we do.
Right? And we don't have to share. Someone told me one time that when moms of boys have better wardrobes than moms of girls, because they don't have to share the budget on the girls. Right? So we can spend all the money on our clothes because the boys could care less about what they wear.
Yeah, and they wear the same thing over and over again.
T-shirt and basketball shorts. So I think it worked out for us.
It did.
Yeah.
I'm happy. I love it. I love boys, and I'm very thankful I have mine.
Yeah. So tell me, what I like to do is just kind of hear people's story and kind of go back to some defining moments in your story. And I love your story. And would you kind of share a little bit about kind of how your growing up was, what it was like?
Growing up.
Yeah.
I was born in Topeka, Kansas.
Yeah.
My family's originally from Kansas City, Missouri.
Okay.
So my mom and dad left there because my dad was transferred with his job.
Okay.
And we ended up we moved to San Antonio for a short period of time, then we ended up in Utah.
Okay.
And we lived there for several years and lived right down the street from like the ski resorts.
Oh.
So I grew up in the mountains.
Okay.
And every day was an adventure. And it was beautiful. It was amazing. We would ski after school. My dad taught us to ski. And we would hike in the mountains and camp out. And, we'd just drive up the street and grill out hamburgers for dinner and play in the streams and fish. And it was a beautiful childhood. But I did have a lot of probably life-defining moments there as well.
Yeah.
It was really difficult growing up there. The culture there is quite a bit different.
Yeah.
And so, had some challenges, I guess I would say, there.
You told me that you're a counselor now, and you talked about how you got started in counseling because when you were younger, you just kind of felt a little bit more alone, and you knew what that was like, and you were kind of a timid child.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so you were kind of like a little timid growing up, kind of lonely, I guess. And what I loved what you talked about, how when we were talking, you were talking about who was your best friend.
Animals.
Animals are your best friend.
That's where I fell in love with horses.
Yes.
And so I was riding horses at Lindley Farm.
Yeah.
And I started with a horse named Rosie.
Oh,
and I had to stand. I was little kid, and I had to stand on one of those big crates, to brush her and things like that. And because I was in the mountains and we had all kinds of critters out there.
Yeah.
So I had grasshoppers.
Yeah.
I loved snakes. I actually had a snake that I named Ziggy that I put my jacket, and I would take to school with me, and I'd sit.
A snake?
Yeah.
Like a real snake?
A real snake, yeah. And they have those little powder jackets with the little flap over here, and you put your hands in the side, and I'd put them in that jacket, and I'd twirl them around my fingers all through school, and I'd go out to the playground because I had no friends, and I'd play with my snake. And
that was Ziggy. It was a real snake?
A real snake.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay, so then, were you a cheerleader back then?
No, I mean, I was little. I mean,
Yeah.
little kid, so.
And so then you ended up at Tech?
Yeah, well, we moved back to Texas.
Okay.
And, started school at South Lake Carroll.
Okay.
So I was there in 5th grade.
Okay.
And then grew up, went to Tech, came back, and have been in the DFW area for quite a while.
Yeah.
And have 3 boys. And
so you're kind of, what kind of got you into counseling? Like what kind of got you into that, wanting to do counseling, wanting to, kind of help people?
Mm-hmm. Probably through all of the really ugly times of my life, honestly.
Yeah.
I think God, the whole beauty for ashes thing.
Yeah.
Sometimes the difficulties that you have and the challenges you have choices in what you can do with those. And I think mine shaped a lot of compassion in me and empathy towards other people, because growing up in Utah specifically, that had a huge impact on who I think I became and how I see the world and how I interact with people.
Yeah.
And even my spiritual life within my relationship with God. Because I knew how it felt to not have kids. I knew how it felt to not have friends and not get invited to birthday parties and not have anyone to play with at recess and things like that.
Yeah.
And so when I moved to Texas, I was always very aware, just naturally very aware of the kid that was sitting at the lunch table by themselves.
Right.
Or the one that seemed left out, or the quiet kid in the corner, or whatever. I just picked up on that.
Yeah.
Intuitively. So I started kind of being a counselor as a child, I would say.
Yeah.
I had my very first friend when I came to Texas. Her name was Susan, one of my very best friends, and she came and wasn't really accepted at that time, and I went over and we became really good friends, and we're still very best friends to this day.
Yeah.
And so I've been drawn to those kinds of people. I have empathy and compassion for them. And I just kind of felt a calling to that.
Yeah.
And then before you knew it, I was that kid where everyone was coming to tell me all their problems. And then I was like, oh my gosh, what do I do? Because, I was a child myself.
Right. How do you navigate that?
Yeah. And holding secrets and not, disclosing information about people and stuff like that. So I had a great mom, have an awesome family, and she really helped me navigate some really difficult situations, even for a kid to deal with.
Right.
And then as I went to school, I became really interested in family studies and psychology and stuff like that, counseling type stuff in school. And I started out, then I was a teacher and did a lot of counseling stuff when I graduated. And I worked at drug rehab centers and alternative schools and dealt with a lot of what they would consider at-risk kids, is what they called them back then. And put together a lot of programs to help them.
Yeah.
So then I was a mom and had the boys, and I really just wanted to be a mom.
Yeah.
And it was a huge blessing to be able to do that. So
Yeah.
I stayed home with my boys. I did cheerleading.
You were a cheer coach?
I was a
Because you
cheer
were a
coach.
cheerleader at Tech? Is that
I was
right?
actually not a cheerleader at Tech.
You weren't? Okay.
No.
You were a cheerleader
not.
at South Lake.
At South Lake.
Okay,
Yes,
okay.
Yes.
But you were a big cheerleader. And
Yes.
So that's a competitive school, South Lake, to be a
Yes.
cheerleader.
Yes.
So then you taught cheer at the boys' school.
Yes, and I love doing that because I was still at school and all I did was cheer. I didn't teach.
Yeah.
So I was still in the hallways, and I could still have lunch with them at the time. Youngest Cade was in kindergarten. So I thought, this will be perfect. I'll just go to school with him.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I don't even know who I am if I'm not at home with a baby on my hip.
Right.
It didn't seem like. So
because the boys are close in age, right?
They're all 2 years apart.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They're really close.
And they're best friends.
Oh, they're so close.
Really well. They're amazing. I love them.
Yeah.
I'm biased, but,
yes, they're precious.
And so we did cheerleading, and then once the boys got a little bit older, I started I always knew I wanted to go back.
Yeah.
But the timing just wasn't right because I wanted to be home with them. And then went back and got my master's. I got an LPC and then an LMFT, which is marriage and family therapy.
Okay.
So that's really what I'm doing now. And after that, I worked in psychiatric hospitals in the ICU units there.
Wow.
I worked in some rehab centers. I worked in trauma centers, and I worked in 2 private practices now. And currently, I'm at Redeemed Life Counseling in Argyle.
In Argyle. Okay, in Argyle.
Yeah.
So when you're hearing all these people share their stories, especially growing up, did you have a hard time kind of protecting yourself or learning how to, not fix them? Where were some techniques that you kind of learned, or did you have to learn the hard way, or?
Yeah, it's a messy process, and it's something that I think you have to be very aware of daily, because there are definitely counselors out there that, can shut it down and kind of flip a switch, I would say. I'm probably not. I struggle with that a little bit more. Yeah. I love my clients. I have the best clients in the world, and they're brave and they're courageous, and they step forward in their life, and they want a better quality life or a better family and better relationships, and that takes a lot of courage to do that. And that's very meaningful to me, and I'm in the trenches with them, and so it's hard for me to flip that switch. And to be honest, I'm okay with that because I pray a lot. And I don't know how anybody can do a job like this and not invite the Lord into that space.
Right.
Because I'm not arrogant enough to think that I have all the answers. I've done all my training, and I continue to do as much training as I can because I want my toolbox as full as possible. So when whatever walks into my room, I'm equipped.
Right.
And I can deal with whatever I need to deal with. And I feel like I do a pretty good job at that. However, I mean, I'm not Jesus. I'm not like a superhero or anything like that. So I know that there's gaps. And I know that I'm invited into their world for a very short season for some of them. Some of them I get to stay a little bit longer and help them walk through a longer journey. But I know that God is with them every step of the way. And He created them, and He knows today, and He knows tomorrow, and He knows their whole story. And I pray a lot to cover the gaps that maybe I may have missed as their counselor. I do my best, and I invite the Holy Spirit into every session with me so that He can cover any of those spaces that I miss. So my peace is found in Him.
Right. And
my peace is found in I do the best that I can, and I know that I'm not perfect, but I love deeply, and I give 100% of what I have, and I let the Lord cover the gaps that I may miss, and that's where I find a lot of comfort. And also, I certainly reach out to mentors and other therapists that, are skilled and help me navigate some things that if I feel like I just need another set of eyes on it or ears to hear or things like that. So there are times, I lay in bed at night and I pray, and I hate to say, I don't want to use the word worry because I don't really worry. I really have a lot of faith, and I really believe, that the Lord is present, and I'm doing the best that I can, and we'll walk through that together. Right. And then I have an army of awesome people behind me too, that can help me, and I can call in resources if I need it. So I'm not out on a limb by myself, and I think that's also important too, when you know that you've got some really skilled, beautiful people that you work with. that are there to help support you and your clients as well.
So you don't feel alone in that.
Uh-uh.
As a friend, I mean, when you were growing up, did you feel like you had to develop those skills to kind of like, okay, Lord, this is not me, this is you? I mean, did you have, because I'm, you know,
Yes.
you kind of talked about how we're people pleasers.
Yes.
And so kind of overcoming that people pleasing,
Yes.
kind of, you know, wanting everyone to be okay kind of things. What are some things that you did to kind of help you with that?
Well, I got 2 master's degrees that had to help me, you know, and that was significant because, you know, it's not like you can necessarily just read it in a book, although when you are going through that process, you go, oh my gosh, I do that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh, I did that. Oh, that's how I ended up in this situation, or this is what that relationship looks like, you know? And so, you walk through it, and then when you know better, you do better.
Right.
And it's a little messy, you know, there's 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 5 steps back, 3 steps forward, and it kind of looks like that, which is very similar to the whole counseling experience. You know, just life is that way. So you just gradually learn and you get to practice. And so you get up and you try it, and if you bust, then you get back up and you get to try it again.
You're just like more self-aware, I guess, because now you're like, oh, that's why I did that in high school, and
Yes.
oh, that's why I made that choice in a relationship,
Yes.
or whatever, or maybe that's why that's what's behind my motivation for doing X, Y, Z. Yeah. So do your boys? I love I wish I had a recording of a couple months ago when you came and spoke to our senior moms group, and hopefully one day you'll start your own podcast and I'll be your number 1 subscriber. But you shared some amazing things about raising your boys. And I love that the fact that they're so close. Like, to me, like, I wanted my boys to be super close and friends and on all that kind of stuff. Do they know, like, I think you said something that maybe they do, but did they like go, okay, Mom, now you have your counseling voice on or whatever? Do they do that to you?
Okay, you know, he's the baby, and so poor little guy. I'll say things to them. I don't even know what. I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but Kate will sometimes say, Mom, don't therapize me. You know, and I'm like, no, this isn't called parenting. And this is not therapizing, this is parenting, and this is what's going to happen. You know,
and you're in trouble.
Yes, and we're doing our homework. So.
You can't get out of that.
Right.
Oh my gosh, I love that. What is, so do you do that in your marriage too? Does your husband feel like he's like, okay, you're therapizing me?
Probably at times, probably so. You know, he's smart enough to not say that to me. But, you know, we definitely have conversations where, you know, he'll think, gosh, I didn't think of it quite that way. You know? And so we bounce things back and forth off of each other. And, you know, he'll, a lot of times, you know, because his brain works very differently than mine does. And so, you know, we just kind of bounce things back and forth, and I think it works out okay.
Yeah. Well, y'all have been married for a while, so so it's working out really well. Okay, something you were talking about the other day when you were speaking with those moms was something super powerful. And probably a lot of people that listen are moms, especially since my handle is FunFit Mom. So I'm guessing some moms are listening and would love some parenting advice like you gave us the other day. And one of the things I loved is that you said something about, maybe I'm saying this wrong, so but I think you said something about they're totally allowed to have whatever emotions that they have, but they're not allowed to bring those emotions into the room with everyone else.
Right.
That was so powerful to me. Because to kind of explain that a little bit better than I probably butchered it.
Well, I say this to a lot of clients and in my home as well, that all emotions are okay. Emotions are messengers. And so if we're sick with the flu, we have symptoms, right? Our tummy hurts, or your head hurts, or your throat hurts, or things like that. And they're there to tell you you're sick. If, you know, the boys are on a football field, like ours have been many times, and because, you know, Jake's had some surgeries, and we just went through surgery with Ty. You know, when you're running down the football field and you break your leg or your ankle or you twist your knee, I mean, you have a lot of pain, and it's there to tell you that you need to pay attention to this part of your body, and that, you know, it needs some kind of attention, or you're sick, or whatever it is. And emotions serve the same purpose for our mental health. And so if you're feeling chronically lonely or depressed or anxious, or things just don't feel quite right in a relationship, and maybe the inside of you is saying one thing, like, oh, no, this isn't right, this doesn't feel healthy for me, but you're out on the outside going, yeah, okay, and there's that inner conflict. Emotions are there to teach us the same thing. And so it's really important to pay attention to that and respond to that. Otherwise, we can end up in a big mess down the road,
right.
Whether it's a relationship or just your own mental health issues and things like that. So I always say all emotions are okay. You need to listen to them. You need to respond to them. You need to show up and express them in an appropriate way. So all emotions are okay. All behavior is not. So just because I'm mad at you and I really want to maybe knock your teeth out or something,
especially
I can
in
feel it.
boys.
Yeah, right? Like I can feel angry and I can feel that, but I'm not going to express it in certain ways. I'm going to express it appropriately. And that's sometimes where we struggle, is in the expression of our anger or sadness or whatever emotion that is.
Right.
So
yeah, I loved that because I used that on Jake. I was like, that emotion is totally okay. It's just not okay for you to bring it in this room and disrupt everybody else and make everyone else feel what you're feeling. Yes. And so I'm sure he was like, what is my mom doing? You know, what she's saying. But yeah, I think that was super helpful. And what is one way, you know, I think it's really important for siblings to be friends and get along. And what is one way that you have been able to help your boys get along?
So I really work on focusing on their character and who they are versus what they do. And
so what would an example be like that? What would be?
So like instead of focusing so much on, you know, the touchdowns they get, and, you know, if you get straight A's, or, you know, if you drive a certain car, or, you know, you have a certain job, things like that. The outcome, like this is our society in general, really reinforces outcomes. I mean, even to get in college, you have to have a certain test score. You have to have this and that, right? So, but we really overlook, I think, a lot of who people are in the internal piece of that. And so I've always really tried, at least, to foster that and keep that very centered in our home, with as far as their relationships and how they treat each other and how that might make someone else feel. And again, back to the emotions are okay. You can feel angry, but you can't express it this way. And let's show up and express it in a different way and have a dialogue about that. So connection is huge. And I have found, as a mom personally and as a professional, as a therapist, connection is really the greatest immunization you could ever give anybody against mental health issues, again, you know, for developing really healthy, solid relationships. Because at the end of the day, the quality of your life is not determined by the outcomes. It's not your paycheck. It's not your house. It's not your job title. It's how you build relationships and how you love somebody and how you foster those relationships. And part of relationships is conflict at times. And how do you resolve conflict? How do you express your emotions? How do you say this is okay or it's not okay? How do you show up? And so those are some of the things that I have been very, central in my heart, central in our home, and central in the way I've tried to raise them.
Right. And especially with boys, they're so physical. So I'm sure it's like, okay, it's not okay to beat up your brother and wrestle at all the times. You know, I mean, I know it's just funny. That's just how they show love. I feel like I know in my house, like, I'm like, do you have to, I thought when they were little, like, they would stop wrestling. Like, I thought someday they're going to stop wrestling. And as soon as Will comes home from college, they're wrestling and poking on each other and picking on each other. And I'm like, you've only been home for like 10 minutes. Like, how is it? But that's just how they connect. Yes. It's weird.
And that was a big learning curve for me because I grew up with a sister.
Yeah.
And I remember calling my dad when they were babies, and they would be, and I was like, is this normal? You know, is this okay? I mean, is there something wrong here?
What is wrong
and
with
he would
them?
say, yes, this is so normal. They're fine. But yeah, it was a huge learning curve coming from living in a home with a sister to having 3 boys.
I can't even, yeah. I mean, I know for me, I had a brother, so at least I had a little bit, like I knew they were stinky and, you know, and rough and dirty and all those things. So I knew those things, but so I can't imagine if I'd grown up with a sister, what it would have been like, you know, having boys, because it's definitely different, and I'm definitely outnumbered in my home.
Me too.
So I totally get that. Okay, so I'm going to ask you a couple questions. What is something fun you're loving these days? Like, what are you into right now?
Well, I'm working a lot, and I'm a mom, so I don't have a lot of free time. But you know, of course, I love horses, and
so do you ride often? Or?
I don't ride often enough.
Okay. Often enough could be like every day. Is that?
I would love to ride every day.
Yeah.
It's cold and dreary right now, so I don't.
This weather is not
often.
conducive. Yeah.
But I do love to ride. That's probably. My horses are my therapists, and so I go down and hang out in the barn quite a bit. I'm not riding as often as I would like, but that's really what I enjoy doing, and it's really peaceful for me. So I'm not doing that as much as I want, but yeah.
But horses, that's the things that you're loving. You love being with your horses.
And just nature. I love going on walks and running. I like doing that as well. Ty and I have decided that we're going to he's like, Mom, I can't run long distance. I'm not a long distance runner. And my dad grew up.
Because he's a sprinter, right? Ty
is a sprinter, yeah. But he has agreed to do a 5K with me.
Awesome.
So we're going to do that.
Well, is it because he's healed from his surgery?
Yes, he just got released.
Yay.
So he's really happy about
that. Is so. What did you do? Like, what are some? I mean, Ty was. Go back to this. Ty was our boys kind of had similar situations and kind of crushed dreams, I guess, in football season when they were injured.
Yes.
Jake didn't get injured until the end of the season, but Ty got injured in the middle of the season, having like an incredible season. So how did you help him cope with that? And like, how did you help him kind of navigate that as a parent? Because I think sometimes it's harder on us as parents to be like, oh my gosh, you know, you're not going to play, you're injured, you know, now you're going to have to rehab for, you know, I mean, it's so traumatic, you know, we know, and you don't want your kids to go through that, you know, you're like, I think it's more, you're like, oh, I don't want you to have to go through that, you know. But what were some ways that you've been able, so, because I know a lot of people that, you know, that will listen to this have kids that have disappointments. I mean, I almost feel like my kids' disappointments have been the biggest blessing.
Yes.
I'm almost, it's almost bad. I almost pray for disappointments for them sometimes, because those have been the biggest growth moments for my boys, is disappointments. Yeah. You know, but as parents, you're like, I don't want them to have that disappointment. But on the other side, it's so beautiful. Yes, you know?
It is.
So what is something that, you know, I mean, obviously Ty was not super excited. He was having an incredible, you know, season, you know, amazing yards, being a running back, you know. So how did you kind of navigate that?
Well, it was just great practice, like life practice, right? Because it's symbolic of just what we all go through. We all have disappointments, and we all have things that we have to learn to overcome. And so it's kind of, you know, practice for that. But we just talked a lot about resiliency and grit and compassion, and, you know, things don't always go the way you plan and hope they will. And so what do you choose to do in those moments? Because it is a choice. And again, I go back to those emotions. It's okay to be sad, and it's okay to be disappointed. It's okay to be angry at times, you know, but it's, what are we going to do about it? Do you want to get mad and just be mad and just, you know, let that just stew inside of you and boil and all that? Or what can we learn from this experience? And so he did the best he could, and he was still with Coach Neal, and he would still work upper body, and he went to Coach Neal and got a plan put together. He tried to continue to eat healthy and be very supportive of his team and the best he could, and things like that. And we sometimes, to be really honest, we just had to sit with some just the disappointment and pray and talk about how do we show up the best we can? It's not going to be easy, and we're going to have to heal, and there's really no way around it. We just have to get through it.
Right.
And they're good. Again, there are good days. We did a little bit better, and then there were some bad days, with some really exciting games, and he was so sad that he couldn't be a part of it.
Yeah.
But you participate in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
They're supporting your team and leadership and watching for the other kids that, might need a little pick-me-up and, writing those little locker room notes and things like that, because we all need that. So you play a different role even though you're not a running back on the field.
I love that. I think that is probably with Jake. It was like, okay, you have a different role. Like, I love that. Like, you want to be a leader? This is when it shows up that you're a leader. It's not how well you do on the football field. It's how well you do off the football field, And in those disappointments, what are you going to allow God to teach you, And it's hard as a parent to watch.
Yes, it's very hard.
So just, you're just like, But I love how, the Lord just brings beauty from those ashes, and He does. And I've seen that in Ty's life. I've seen that in Jake's life. The disappointments, have made them stronger. And I love that so much. It's so cool.
And they value their opportunities when they have them now.
For sure. Because they understand they're more compassionate towards other people. I know, like, one of the things when my dad had cancer, I was like, I was not compassionate towards people that had cancer. I didn't understand. Until you have a loved one that goes through that, you're like, oh, this is I was so insensitive. I was so insensitive. I didn't know what it was like, And so I think that when you go through those hard times, they're more compassionate. They understand, what it's like of, having those disappointments so they can walk others through that hard time,
I agree.
It just stinks that they had to go through them, but they did. Okay, what are you reading right now?
Oh gosh, I'm reading several things. I'm reading, one of the ones I like is Why Won't You Apologize?
Okay.
By Harriet Lerner.
Okay.
I really like her.
Harriet Lerner, okay.
She's got some really great books. And I don't know if you've heard of Brene Brown,
right.
But Brene Brown really likes her.
Okay.
And so I've been reading some of those. She has another one about women's anger.
Okay.
That was, it's like, I think it's the dance of anger or something like that for
Okay.
women, because women express anger a little bit differently.
Yes, we do.
And so I'm reading that one.
Ooh, I'm excited about those. Okay, so I have another question. What is your favorite parenting advice?
Favorite parenting advice, probably kind of like what we've discussed, is what you're focused on. More about focusing on their character and connection versus, an outward or an external outcome, I would say.
Okay.
For sure.
That's great. And as, because it's easy to get wrapped up in the external, instead of just kind of focusing on, them not brushing their teeth or messy room or whatever, just focusing on their kindness towards their brother or a friend or, those kind of things. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I have another question. Do you have a parenting do-over? Do you have a parenting do-over? Do you wish you had a do-over?
I would say I think parenting is so overwhelming at times, and there's just so many things to juggle, especially with 3 boys. Being present. Instead of worrying about my to-do list, or I gotta go here, I gotta go there, I've got laundry to do, I'm just really sitting and being really present and just soaking up those moments, because now that I have one in college, and I'm getting ready to send another one off, he'll be a senior next year, I look back and even now, I still think, I just want to sit here. I don't care if my house is a mess, and I don't care if, I need to mop the floors or whatever it is. I just want to sit with them and enjoy those moments and learn and listen and that kind of thing. So I think just being present with them.
You wonder why the Lord makes us so tired when they're little? Because I think we're just so exhausted when they're little that you're just like so tired that you're like, I didn't enjoy it because I was so exhausted. Just couldn't wait for him to go to bed.
It's like a blur if you think about it.
And now you're like, why didn't I just sit and cuddle more and, whatever.
Yeah. I do a lot of scratching backs and rubbing feet.
Yeah.
I never pass up that opportunity.
Yeah.
I made that decision, especially Kate. And Cole too. Cole will come home from school and he will curl up in my lap and rub my back and those things.
You're 6'2", baby.
Yes, and I used to go, I gotta do this, or, but now I will sit there and I will rub their backs and, all that kind of stuff, and I love every minute of it.
You're so sweet. Maybe I need to start rubbing my boys back. Maybe that'll bring Will back closer. What's your favorite adult beverage? Do you have a favorite adult beverage?
No, I really don't. I know that's wild to say.
No, it's not.
But I'm not, I don't drink alcohol.
Yeah. So what's your favorite beverage in general?
Okay,
Let me ask that.
Are you really ready?
Don't say water.
Water with lemon.
Water with lemon?
Isn't that terrible?
No.
So embarrassing. But it is. I'm really
Water with lemon.
Exciting.
Okay.
So.
That's your favorite.
Water
Sparkling water or white or
just
plain water?
regular water.
Water with lemon. Do you have it like in a infuser or anything fun? Or you just...
No, I don't. I just bottled water is my favorite.
What brand bottled water?
Anything, really. I'm not picky.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't like the faucet water.
Yeah.
I know that sounds kind of snobby.
Have you tried to do that water that they deliver to your house? It's in the, this is totally off subject, but it's called like Mountain Valley spring water, I think. And it's like, it comes in glass.
No.
Yeah, it's supposed to be better for you than like the ones coming in the plastic, but they will deliver and it's like in glass, like big. And we did that at our other house. I need to get it delivered here because I drank so much more water.
Send me that
Yeah, I'll have to try it at Mountain Valley because it's supposedly it's better for you because it's wherever they get it from and because it's in glass. But it's kind of a pain because they have to like deliver it. But and they're giant, and they're heavy, and all that.
Huh. I'll have to look into
Yeah, look into that. Okay, what's your favorite travel destination?
Anywhere there's a beach.
Which beach is your favorite?
Well,
you said you hadn't been to Cabo yet, so we must plan a trip to Cabo because I'm a big Cabo fan.
I know. Any beach, really. I mean, I love the white sand beaches, and Mexico is really close.
Yes. So you gotta.
Because I don't want to leave the boys very much.
Yeah.
I know that sounds really silly to say, but. So Mexico's great for just like a long weekend getaway.
Right.
It's close to home. You don't have any stops in the middle and things like that. So, but I love the Bahamas. I love Virgin Islands.
Yeah.
Places like that. But probably Mexico.
Mexico, like Cancun. Okay, Cancun. Okay. Yeah, because you haven't been to Cabo yet, so we'll have to work on that.
Yeah.
What is your favorite healthy snack or meal right now that you're kind of into?
I love salmon.
Salmon, okay.
Oh my gosh, salmon. I could eat salmon every day. It's any kind of seafood. Most seafood, I would say. I love seafood. But Ty and I eat a lot together. We'll eat like apples and peanut butter or bananas and peanut butter.
He's so healthy an eater. Has he always been a healthy eater, or does he do it just because of like athletics?
Well, I mean, when he was a little kid, he ate chicken nuggets all the time.
Right.
Now that he's older, he's been into the athletics. He's been a really healthy eater.
He's very disciplined. Very disciplined.
Very disciplined.
Yeah.
And he watches all of that. And
so
since I'm at the grocery store and he's telling me what, I would like this, I don't want that.
Yeah.
So, we eat it together.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Okay, and then I guess you said, I was going to ask you your favorite workout, but you said running. Is running your favorite workout?
I love horseback riding.
Horseback riding. I guess, sure.
Probably running. Tiger are going to be, he just got released, so we're going to be running and getting ready for our 5K.
Your big 5K. Do you know where is it going to be in town, or y'all going to go somewhere for it or something?
I think it's in Fort Worth.
Okay.
It's in April.
Okay.
Very
exciting.
We're working towards that.
That's big, because that was a big surgery for him to recover from.
It is. But it's going to be fun. We get to go hang out together and run together now and eat our bananas and peanut butter. I'm going to try to get Caden on it, but he's so far, he's not participating.
He doesn't want to do it, No. Jake does not like to run. He's like me. We only want to run if we're being chased by a bear. And even at that point, it's a little not really sure, even at that point. Right. So I admire people that like to run. Okay, so I appreciate you so much. You sharing your story and just like how God's used you and how you're impacting people and loving on people, and I really appreciate it. And so if people want to connect with you, it's and your website is.
Well, you can the best way to reach me is at Redeemed Life Counseling.
Redeemed Life Counseling.
Redeemed Life Counseling.
Okay, and it's in Argyle.
It's in Argyle.
Okay.
Yes.
So Redeemed Life Counseling, if you want to connect with her, or kind of see what what Cara's doing and all that kind of stuff. You're so sweet. Thank you
for
so much.
having
I'm
me.
so glad I met you.
I am so thankful we met. We've had a lot of great memories
We do.
together, and
I
I'm
know.
looking forward to even more.
I
in the
know we do.
future.
Thank you, sweetie.
You're
Appreciate it.
welcome.